What's up, nerds? This is Paul Conti here for Radio Free Hammer Hall, and we are going to do something completely new, completely different, completely exciting that I have never done before. Are you ready? Are you ready? Because I'm excited. We are unboxing Malign Sorcery. That's what we're doing right now. So, my only preparation for this, unlike some unboxings, I haven't actually, opened this up yet to see what it actually looks like on the inside. All I have done is kind of taken a cursory look at the box, which, I've got to say, this is a pretty hefty, large box of stuff. And all things considered, I believe it's $75 US MSRP. There are models for 13 spells inside. I just want to quickly talk about the pricing of this, because there's a lot of crap in here for not a lot of money. They could have easily sold these spells individually. Say there's 13 spells. If they just sold them at $10 each, packaged individually, plus the book that I know is inside this, also packaged individually for $10. This could have been twice as much money. And they could have easily priced it even higher than that, $15, $20 a kit. So I think this is a really fair price for this. Just all things considered, I think this is a pretty reasonable bargain. I think this is also something that's going to be really essential to competitive Age of Sigmar going forward. I think this is a box that basically everybody's going to need to buy. So, without further ado, let's crack it open and see what we got here. It has a very nice handle here as well. And I'm wondering, once I take this apart, if this actually would function well as a carrying case for these all afterward. So, and inside we have a nice, neat bag. Great. Now I have to actually break out my X-Acto knife and get all of that going. We have our Malign Sorcery book that contains all of those rules, all of the... There's a variety of other stuff in here, I know, as well, including the realm artifacts and things like that. So the book review in particular may be coming at a later date. I'm really just kind of talking about what's in the box. Also in here, we have the package of spell cards for all of the spells in the box, and including one that's not in the box, the Balewind Vortex. So this is fairly standard, War Scroll cards for all of your Malign sorceries. And of course, this is not opening easily for me. So we'll tear the foil wrapper off of that later. But the real prize is inside this bag, which, this is not going to tear easily, so we're just going to have to take a knife to this. Get your old hobby knife out and tear into it and open up the grandeur and beauty of what is inside of this. This is a whole heaping load of plastic. I mean, this is a shitload of plastic. As I said, this is models for 13 spells, and it's actually 17 separate models because a number of the spells are actually multiple models to the spell. Like the Shackles, for example, are 3 models that kind of triangulate an area that debuffs your opponent. We have all of these on colored plastic sprues as well. So, personally, I would still prime over these, but they're certainly not going to look horrible on the table if you just assemble them and then throw them on the table to get yourself going. You have a nice 2 purple sprues here for the Purple Sun, the one that everyone seems to be really excited about. It looks like a really sweet model. And this, I think, is just more components to that. And we have, I think, this looks like the Grave Tide, maybe the Maw, whatever the thing is called. All of this, in addition, these are like the Easy Fit sprues. These are pressed together models, and here we have the bases. And you'll notice in these, the bases also all have holes in them for the models to slot into. So theoretically, you can actually assemble all of these without actually using any glue. Now, personally, I'm still going to glue them anyway. I don't like to trust the press together stuff. And I'm going to have to report back later as well on how these things actually go together. Because I've heard that some of the push fit models out of the Soul Wars box don't actually really go together that well sometimes and have some gaps, and you need to do some gap filling. So I'm going to put some of these together and report back on that situation. But overall, you get a general glimpse of what we've got here. 17 models in the box, covering 13 spells, and plus the additional card for the Balewind Vortex, which is now an endless spell, which I've got over there somewhere, already all painted up and ready to go. I'm really excited about Endless Spells in general. I think this is a great addition to the game, and I'm really pumped for it. So that's about it for now, kids. I'm going to see you all later, and I will be back with a report on how these things actually go together, how it all turns out. Alright, so I just wanted to take a quick look here at the contents of the spell cards and the books that are contained within the Malign Sorcery box. So over here we have, all of our spell cards. That these are, just use my hand as a comparison. They're a nice size, good font size, so that they're easily readable. I believe they're the same sort of standard size that most of your cards are for your War Scrolls. We have all 13 of the spells that are contained in the box, plus the Balewind Vortex, which is your extra endless spell that previously existed and got a bit of a rework. My only real point of complaint here is that these don't have any sort of carrying case or sleeve for them, so they are just like permanently loose. So you're gonna have to make sure you don't lose these. Find some way to store them. Also included in here, of course, is this, which is sort of inconspicuously marked, but what it actually is your instruction manual for all of the push fit stuff. The really funny part of this is that literally more than half of this book is assembling the Purple Sun, and then you have the instructions for each of the additional models that are in here. Some of them are very simple. Suffocating Gravetide is just 2 pieces. The Umbral Spell Portal is literally clip it off the sprue, stick it in the base. I believe looks like the same thing with the Pendulum, and fairly close to that on the Shackles. So some of these pretty easy, some might be a little more complicated, and here is your overview of what all of these guys would look like when they are finished. And then we have the quick view at the Malign Sorcery book and what is in here. So we have a big narrative component to this. If we just quickly look at the table of contents, the actual contents of the book that is not really fluff doesn't start till page 50. So we have about 50 pages of narrative content, and then we move on to all of the other stuff that's in here. And what I think is really cool and interesting, let's just flip through the book a little bit and get to, we have a lot of awesome art in here. As always, the art of the Age of Sigmar books is absolutely on point all the time. And I definitely want to make a point of mentioning that. They have a guide in here for painting, how to paint up all of these to make them look really nice. And then eventually we get to the rules for the endless spells, how they work. This is also included in the core book. And it's just sort of reiterated here. What's also really cool is that we have a few additional battle plans for playing the game that are really revolving around using the Malign sorcery. So we have one here, we have another one, there's a couple more at the back of the book. Oh, one more, and one more. So it looks like, I think we have about a total of 6 or 7 in general, and then we have all of the different artifacts and command traits for each of the realms. Now, a lot of the realm stuff is also in the core book, but the artifacts and command traits I don't believe are in there, because those are in rules terms, those are definitely separate. And then once we get through that, we have scenery tables for some of the realms, and another battle plan, and Path to Glory rules for the Realm's Edge, more battle plans, and then going into detail on each of the spells. So, very cool book overall. I just wanted to do a quick overview of, general idea of what's in here, what you're getting, and we're going to go more in depth on this. Another battle plan here at the back, and of course our pitch battle profiles. That is one of the more important things here. So just wanted to give you guys an idea of what was in the book, what is in the, the paper contents of this. All right, so up next we've got Ravenek's Gnashing Jaws. That is our big, crazy, fiery head. Now, one word of caution on this one. These, as I mentioned, are push-fit models. So, when taking these guys off the sprue, there is something that you need to be aware of. That there are going to be little tabs and spindles that make these things actually interlock. And you'll see this is just 4 pieces, and it goes together very nice and easily. But if you look closely here at the bottom, not sure if you can quite make it out with the camera, we have these little pegs here. And if I wasn't being careful of the fact that we're going to have pieces here that interlock, it could have been very easy to mistake these for parts of the sprue and to accidentally cut off the thing that makes the push fit work. So this guy then just slides together. If I can get his bottom mandible here slid in. This is not as easy as it looks. So this one is a little bit of a snug fit. And then the bottom mandible over here, and getting that locked in. Now, what I am noticing already is, yes, there is definitely some gaps that need to be filled in these. You'll notice also another item here, the pegs on the bottom that slide into the base to keep it in the base. Those could be easily mistaken for bits of sprue as well, so you need to be careful when you're clipping these off the sprue. There's definitely some gaps that are going to need to be filled. And I think you definitely want glue on this, because this is going to be, as you can see, fairly easy to fall apart. So I'll be gluing all of these for sure. But they are still definitely really nice. They're beautifully sculpted models. I am just concerned a little bit that we have some gaps. That's something we can live with.